Part of the reason why I chose to study engineering and not literature or French was because engineers are at the heart of the green transition. They're the problem solvers we tasked with designing and overseeing everything from our smartphones to our vehicles, our houses, our transport systems, and our cities. In short, they design and implement a lot of the infrastructure that we're going to need to change if we're going to achieve net zero by 2050. And with the demand for engineers at an all-time high here in Australia, it's an exciting time to become one. Now, when we talk about the work for engineers in the green transition, a few things spring to mind. When you think of an electrical engineer, you might visualise a solar farm or a wind turbine. When you think of a civil engineer, you might visualise passive buildings or sustainable architecture. And when you think about a mechanical engineer, well, there's always electric vehicles and low carbon freight on the table. But what kind of work can a chemical engineer do if they care about the environment? And what skills should they be developing if they want to do this work? Discussion with my classmates has led me to believe that I'm not alone in posing this question. Through our degrees, we learn a lot about pipe schematics and distillation columns and process control, but not so much about how these things are applied within the climate crisis. And upon reflection, this makes a lot of sense. Some of the biggest emitters in Australia, mining, oil and gas, manufacturing, the classics, are also some of the largest graduate employers for people with my degree. Put plainly, chemical engineering doesn't have the best track record when it comes to sustainability. And young people care really deeply about this. According to a recent survey by Deloitte, over 40% of Gen Zs and millennials have changed or will change jobs over the course of their career due to concerns about the environment. Now, what this means is that not only is it incumbent upon our employers to change the way that they treat their environmental responsibility, but it's also important for us as students and young professionals to know what kinds of jobs we should be applying for and what technologies and strategies and, importantly, stakeholders we should advocate for within the workforce. We need to know how the shift towards circularity, towards clean tech, and towards sustainability might be applied within the field of chemical engineering because, as I established earlier, our industries are some of the ones most in need of really intense, rapid, far-reaching change. So, with the support of the Wattle Fellowship, I decided to make it my mission to seek out and talk to chemical engineers who are already doing the good work in sustainability and to learn about what it is that they do, to understand the skills they use in their jobs, to analyse and evaluate the types of things that they've learnt in their degrees that they then apply within the realm of sustainability. And then, of course, I wanted to share these insights with my peers. Bada bing, bada boom, my Wattle project, the Green Chemie podcast, was born. Ooh, there we go. This is an opportunity for me to have conversations with industry professionals who are applying this chemical engineering skill set to the green transition, and then to glean insight from people who have oftentimes decades of experience working in the sustainability space. Thus far, I've had the pleasure to talk with people about wastewater treatment, tyre stewardship, carbon sequestration, green metallurgy, hydrogen, and of course the startup space. And I'm very excited for these conversations to continue to grow and change with time. Now, my hope is that this podcast will act as a resource so that my peers and I can leave our degrees with a better understanding of what sustainable chemical engineering can look like. And with this knowledge, we head into the workforce informed, inspired, and empowered to advocate for the change that we so desperately need. Now, before I finish today, I'd like to pivot slightly and talk about my experience at the Wattle Fellowship. The past year in this program for me has been one of the most challenging, the most soul-searching, and the most enriching of my life. The humans of Wattle, the leaders, the fellows, and even the occasional fly-in billionaire, they've all challenged me to change the way that I think, the way I act, and the way that I frame my responsibility within the context of climate change and climate injustice. I have met some of the most impassioned, talented, and devoted young people that I've ever had the pleasure to know. And some of these people you've already heard from tonight, and some of them you'll hear from later tonight and also later this week if you have the pleasure of coming to another Spotlight event. They are incredibly inspiring people to work alongside, and I am so grateful to have the opportunity to do so over the past 12 months. Among much else, these people have taught me that the learning journey for me has only just begun. We engineers don't actually know it all, despite what we may sometimes contest. And my hope is that this learning can in part take place through the Green Chemie podcast, which, if you're interested, you're welcome to scan and find here. I thank you all so much for your time tonight and for listening to me, and for, of course, this wonderful opportunity to share my experience of the Wattle Fellowship.